One thing about the homeless situation here in Hawaii, which I'm sure can be frustrating. Sometimes it's frustrating for me, is that it's expensive to live here. Rents are crazy. Food's crazy. It costs a lot to live here. So when, you walk out your door into a makeshift living room and you feel like you're invading, it's like, what the fuck? For instance, at the end of my street, it's right in my house. It connects two streets together. There's like this little kind of forested area, like a little jungle. We call it the jungle. It's a cut through to the convenience store. So it's something I use and a lot of other people use. There's a homeless dude there. He's a painter. He's a cool guy. He's all right. He doesn't bother anybody. But usually homeless people bring around other homeless people who will show up even if they're not there because they know it's like a safe zone. No one's going to bother them. It's like during the day, the painter guy kind of puts all his stuff under a bush. He kind of hides it all so it's not out in the open. But then at night, it all unfolds into like a fucking living room. And sometimes he's not even there. There's just other people there. Like I was just walking through there now, and I come out of the forest over to where the forest come over through the trees to go to the convenience store. And it's just uncomfortable because people have like a living room set up there, and they got all these dogs and these rugs out and like a fucking like an outdoor living room. And now you're intruding in someone's fucking space. And he always says hi, but a lot of these other people that come around aren't friendly. And it's awkward, so I'm just like, hey, how you doing? And they just stare at you, see if you have anything in your hands. They always look at your hands to see what you might have. Some days I go over there and there's like a gang of dogs come running at me. They're all little dogs, but a lot of homeless people have dogs, which I think is kind of cruel, but they do it anyway. So, it's like, that's right outside my house between me and the convenience store, where I walk through, my wife walks through, a lot of old ladies, older people walk through, kids walk through, and you walk into a street person's living room. And it's awkward. It's like, it's just weird. It's like, pay a lot of money to live here. And 20 feet away from me is a group of people not paying any money to live here. And they don't seem very like they want to stay out of anyone's way, or like, well, we got to, we don't want to intrude on anyone. It's like, I'll video it next time I go through that. It's like rugs and all the shit laid out. And, like I'm walking through there tonight and there's a couple women in there having a conversation. And when I walk in, they stop talking like I, invaded their living room. Hello. And they just kind of look at me. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? But, no one really does anything about it, and the problem is, eventually what happens is, when other homeless people see that, and it's already started happening, because I've been there nights before. There's been some shady characters out there, just kind of looking you up and down, without getting too descriptive, I'll just say some shady characters. And it just sucks. It's like, well, what the fuck? As rents go up and foods go up, rents and foods, as this stuff goes up, like, I'm not saying their life is easy, although for many of them that's the life they've chosen, but they get pretty kicked back and comfy over there. And the feeling is, at least to me, is it's like I'm invading their private space, They used to happen in Chinatown a lot. I'd be down there at night with some of my friends, and after hours, you know, this is back when I first started going down in 2016. At night, different homeless people would grab different parts of the sidewalk and just spread all of their shit. Usually they leave a mess. There's no self-awareness there because there's a lot of drug use. And like I'll be walking around talking to my friend, and they'll be telling us to be quiet because they're sleeping. You know, that happens a lot. I remember walking over by 7-Eleven over by Alamoana, and this guy's like, "Hey, be quiet. There are people trying to sleep here." I'm like, what do you say to that? What do you say to that? Well, probably nothing unless you want to get in a knife fight, you know, because that's what a lot of these people will do. And then if the cops have to come or some bullshit, guess who's going to court? Not them. They climb back under a fucking rock, and I have to go fucking pay the fees, go to court, because I have an address. They know where to get me. These other guys don't have an address, and they know fucking, you know, they're not going to get money out of them anyway. So yeah, being shushed for being in someone's bedroom at night when you're walking down the street is not uncommon. And I kind of felt like that over there just now coming through there. And yeah, they're all dogs, which is kind of cruel. But then again, if you're out there living that way, you're a bit selfish anyway, you know. And for a lot of guys, not all of them, but for a lot of them, if you have that little respect for yourself, that you're like living that way, then I know you don't have any respect for me or my neighbors or my girl. And that makes you someone to be cautious of. You know, especially if I'm trying to hit the store before it closes like at 11, or even walking through there later if I'm just cutting through the street. You know, and I gotta keep my head on a swivel and be aware of if I have any bags in my hands or something. It's kind of fucked up, but what are you gonna do? The thing about this homeless thing is there is no answer. Because you can give as much help as you want, but a large portion of this population doesn't want help. This is the lifestyle they've chosen. And that's why it's hard to feel bad. You know, my attitude has completely changed from when I moved here. When I moved here, I'd never seen this kind of homelessness, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how can they let these people just... And then you start getting to know them, and you're like, oh, okay. They see someone with a clipboard, and they run. They don't want any help. Because help means responsibility. Help means possibly a record check. You know, help means drug and alcohol programs. Means outstanding warrants. I had a friend that, you know, he lived in Chinatown. He was always getting walked up on for different things. Like, hey, can I have a cigarette? This and that. The way he would get rid of people is he would say, oh yeah, I have this painting gig. Do you want to work for a day for cash? And they would fucking flee. You know, it's just tough. Like you have people that are choosing a lifestyle that's diametrically opposed to other people that are trying to maintain a lifestyle at great sacrifice for increasing amounts of money, and resentment begins to build. And to start off with, they have resentment toward you to begin with anyway. Because, you know, you're a millionaire. You have running water. So, what do you care? You know? You have endless money, right? Because you have a roof over your head. So there's that weird resentment too. While there are some islanders here that are homeless, there are a lot of islanders that There's a woman that runs a whole community in the woods. Pretty crazy. I mean, this land belonged to those people. It's fucking sad. But for the most part, a lot of the homeless here and most of the troublemakers are from the mainland. And what they did is they pissed off the people in their community so much that they had enough of them and they end up here, you know? So, like my friends say, it's like the island of misfit toys. All the people that are in trouble or running from something, they run here. So if they were running from something at home, you know they're going to be a fucking problem here, you know? Not all of them. Some of them are cool. I used to have a lot of friends that were homeless before the lockdowns happened. I kind of lost touch with most of them. They got moved around, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I used to see, like, a guy sleeping in a doorway or something, be like, ah, poor guy. I want to go over and give him a few dollars. Or, they'll always take money, but they'll get red-pilled on what's going on if you try to offer them food or something. Like, hey, do you want water? And they're like, get the fuck out of here. They don't want anything unless it's money. Or if you happen to have drugs, they can cut the middleman out. They can just hand them the drugs. And you realize fairly quickly, like, oh, okay, I see what this is. I should not feel bad for this person at all. And like I said, there are good ones, but the behavior of the overall group kind of lumps them in as being problem people. You know, we see that in a lot of different groups. You know, we see that in a lot of different groups. There are always outliers, you know, that can be reasoned with and do appreciate it. Like I got a guy, homeless guy that I always give something to, or always talk to, or shoot the shit with for a minute. But for every one of them, there's 10 ex-cons out here trying to rob you in some fashion. And causing trouble. Yeah. It's, you know, it's a problem that's escalating. And I know there's got to be other people that think the same thing. I mean, I'm not even, comparative to Hawaii rent and stuff, I'm not paying nearly as much as some of these other people here. You know, I don't have a car. I don't have a family. So there are people that are paying big money because it keeps going up, and they walk out of their house into a guy shitting into a pot. Something's got to happen, but I have no idea what. You can throw all the money you want at these at the problems. But that doesn't help, because there's fundamental problems with the person. You have to fix people, and you can't do that. And as life gets tougher, as rents go up, as food gets more expensive, you get more desperate people that end up on the streets. You know, people that are really on the streets because they just got priced out of life. You know, a lot of these guys here are lifers, they're nomads, they were homeless on the mainland, they come here to be homeless so they have to deal with the winter, or they get chased out of town for people just getting fucking sick of their shit. And you can tell, because when you get here, some of them are just so awful. They're just fucking awful. It's like, oh, I see why you were popular in Philadelphia, you know? Yeah, there's a lot of real asshole ones here, like, you know, I try to be cool, but like some of them, it's like they'll ask for something. Like, hey, do you have this? No, I've kind of gotten to the point where I put my ignore switch. It's on fucking. My ignore switch is strong, because I've learned, even if you say anything, like, oh, sorry, man, no, they'll take what you just said and turn it into something. Yeah, I'm sorry too. Look, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, here we go. They don't care, because they're just looking for an interaction. They don't care if it's negative. They'll take any interaction that they can then turn into some kind of scene. And whether that's so that, like, you just give them money to go away, which is what all the Asian tourists do. I talked about before, like Asian tourists, like, they'll just throw money at people to get them away from them. You know, I've seen it. It's like, because they'll see the buskers, Kalakaua, asking for money. So they kind of get in their head that, oh, they just want money. Just give them money. Yeah. I remember one time a guy, I think he was Chinese, tried to give us a $100 bill just for information on where to park his car. We're like, no, you don't, this is too much. Don't give these to people. And I'm thinking, well, if he's handing them, of course I didn't take it. But if he's doing that, can you imagine how he's emptying his wallet all day? I've seen them just kind of incidentally or accidentally just kind of get in the area of some people, and the wallet comes out. They go, here. That's it's not, I don't see that as much as I used to, but at one point I did. That's like nails on a fucking chalkboard to me. Hey, he sings good. I'm sure he's a cool guy, but that whole new man or new male genre, I think that's what James Hargreaves calls him. The American sensitive guy that's into feelings and Wonderland bodies and stuff. I fucking can't take it. It makes my fucking skin crawl. But yeah, the reason why Asian tourists throw money at people too is because where they come from, they don't see a lot of different kinds of people. You know, Japan, well, even Japan too, it's the same way. So they're just scared of certain kind of people. I make like certain kind of people nervous too, and it's funny. I think it's because, I don't know, whatever. But I'll have someone up my ass, like, because everybody wants to be in front of you. Until they're in front of you. And then they nervously look back at you. And they cut their speed. It's like, well, come on. I don't know. So when you don't see a lot of kind of different people where you're from, when you come here where there's all kinds of different people, I guess it can be like a bit intimidating or shocking. But yeah, that's neither here nor there nor anywhere. I always got the phone at the ready. Always demon spotting. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.